In my last video, I totally clickbaited any poor soul who actually watched it, but this time I'm actually going to talk about investing versus gambling for real. So if you watched the other video and are here now, I appreciate you and can't believe you've made it this far. So I've already talked about why you really shouldn't be keeping most of your money in cash. If you missed it, I'll put a link to the video in the description. Basically, I talked about putting your money in the S&P 500 versus cash, since the S&P tends to be a benchmark that people use when comparing the performance of their investments. It also tends to be the go-to investment people recommend when they say you should invest your money. I mean, go on any personal finance subreddit and you'll see pretty much nothing but S&P 500 or total market funds recommended to people. And there's a very good reason why these are the most commonly recommended types of investments. And that very good reason is that it's safe, reliable, and most importantly, it's historically repeatable. I mean, if everyone could reliably guess the lotto numbers of the week, I think we can all agree that that would be a much better investment than earning 10% per year in the S&P 500. But since we can't do that, we don't recommend it to people. And I mean, along those same lines, if starting a company and earning millions of dollars per year were reliable and easily repeatable, I'm sure that a good deal of people would give up their 9-to-5s and start a business. I mean, shit, I know I would. And I'm guessing most of the people listening also think that sounds like a pretty good deal. But again, this is not a reliable career path, so it's not commonly recommended by guidance counselors or parents or friends or whoever, to high school kids when they're trying to figure out what to become when they grow up. So if you go on internet forums of people asking which degree to get, you don't find just start a business at the top of the list, right? You'll see engineer, accountant, maybe you'll see doctor or lawyer. And even in that case, you'll have a disclaimer usually that talks about how it's a lot of work. And sometimes people don't, they're not actually passionate about it and they give up after a while, right? So it's still, even that's still considered a fairly risky career path, even though you really just have to get through the education and then you're pretty much set. I personally went down the engineer route and it's led to what most of the world would probably consider success. I've got a pretty stable, decent paying job. I don't have to break my back to get paid. I sit in front of a screen in an air-conditioned office and live a pretty comfortable middle to maybe upper middle class life with my wife. I mean, who the fuck even knows what upper middle class is these days? Now, if I follow the advice of all the online NPCs regurgitating the same advice to sock away 15% of my money in a safe total market investment, I'll easily have enough for a comfortable retirement in 35 years. If I take the more aggressive FIRE path of living below my means and investing aggressively the same way, albeit with more money each month, I could probably retire in 20 years or so realistically. And taking 15 years off of retirement is nothing to sneeze at. I'm 30 years old now, so that would put my retirement at 50 instead of the traditional 65 years old, which is a pretty big difference. That requires me to make a lot of sacrifices and play my life so safe for the rest of my career just to all but guarantee this outcome. If I take a risk with my job or career path and end up making less money, I could be totally hosed. And if I take a risk with my investments, I could also be hosed. If I let off the gas and spend too much, well, now I'm back to trading off the now versus the later again. So I've decided I'm going to take a portion of my investments and put it into super volatile assets, right? And first thing that probably comes to everyone's mind when they hear volatile assets is crypto, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Now, I know it's a polarizing topic, but in my opinion, I feel like I'm fortunate enough that I can save and invest that 15%, the traditional 15% that's recommended everywhere, put that into safer, better understood investment vehicles with longer history and are less volatile. And then anything I'm saving on top of that, I'll essentially gamble on some highly concentrated, high risk bets. I obviously won't know how this goes until it either goes really well or really poorly. So I'll keep you guys updated. But for now, I'm more content knowing that if these assets pop off, that I'll have some exposure. And I think that if I just played it safe all the time and had to live with not knowing, that would be even worse. I may be biased because I have a friend who made some good money on crypto and is retired now. But even as a technical person, I think crypto really does have some promising applications beyond just the scams we all hear about in the news. And I'm personally pretty excited to see the few good projects in the space continue to change our lives. Anyway, I'm not going to go on too long of a rant shilling this stuff, but I just wanted to share my basic strategy in case anyone's interested. Or in case anyone else out there that's listening has something similar going on, maybe not with crypto, maybe with something like real estate. I know that that's always been very popular. And I think this goes without saying, but this is not financial advice. This is just my opinion. I'm not an expert in anything finance related, so don't get mad at me if you lose your shirt on the next Hawk Tua token. I won't be talking any specific assets I'm invested in, at least not on here. And I think it would be unwise of me to ask people to comment any tickers they want others to know about, since I'm sure that the scammers will probably take care of that in the comments if I don't get rid of them. So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I hope to see you next time.